Hello, and welcome to the Meat Incident, a Terrace House podcast, now covering Terrace House, Aloha State. This podcast was created by me, and this is the past tense now. It was created by me and Matt. I'm joined by Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Matt. Way to go. We did it. Cowabunga, waves and babes.
And babes.
That's the new intro now, is that you have to talk about the podcast in the past tense, as if it's not currently existing.
Well, when people listen to it, it was recorded in the past tense, so that makes sense.
No.
That's how English works. Speaking of English, we're in America, technically, baby.
Hell yeah.
I like
Hawaii.
I just like side-eyed, did I like kind of poop on Hawaii? I said, yeah, Hawaii's technically America, as if it's not part of our country. Yeah, it is one of the 50 states. I'm sorry, Hawaii, that I was like, you're kind of part of it. I feel like they get that, though. They're like an island. They're far away.
They're like closer to Japan, I feel like, than America in terms of location in the Pacific. Like, Hawaii's like super far away if you look at it on the map.
It is pretty far away. It's also, isn't Alaska attached to Canada?
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's like, is Alaska really part of us? It's just this weird place that's like off over, and they're fracking it or whatever, getting stuff for oil in it. Yeah,
getting some salmon, some crabs, some oil.
Some salmon crab oil state. Good job, Alaska. Thank you for your bountiful oil. I'm sorry that we are ravaging your state's natural beauty.
Whatever.
Anyway, back to this podcast about Terrace House, a show. We're starting Aloha State now. We're watching episodes 1 and 2 of Aloha State, and they basically just go over, hey, welcome these new people to the house, and some character building in these episodes. So it's pretty chill. Nothing crazy pops off. We don't have like a Natsumi like person who enters the house immediately.
Not yet.
Not yet at all. Everyone here is like very chill and good. Did you like these first 2 episodes? If this was your first entrance into Terrace House, if this is your first time watching a series, if you didn't watch Boys and Girls in the City, I feel like this gives you a good vibe and like base level of chillness of Terrace House, you know?
Yeah, they also speak a lot of English.
They do. I wondered, so do you think when they speak English, like, I almost wonder if it's more fun for the Japanese audience than the American audience. Like, because they seem to, it's like very playful to them. They're like, oh, it's so cool, like English. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's definitely just like the one house member just not knowing Japanese that well and keeps like defaulting to English words.
Yeah, she does. That is 100% what she's doing. And one of the other house members has been seemingly living and working in Hawaii for a bit. And he also does a decent amount they do some English back and forth during these episodes. That's something. That's fun.
Yeah. It's always like, it's fun, but it always like takes me out. I'm like, whoa, because it's just like weird, like intermingling like English and Japanese, just like back and forth. It's very interesting to see.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, you can't just keep reading subtitles. All of a sudden they go away, and
sometimes you have to listen. Yeah, it's true. Sometimes, I'll just be watching the show with like only one headphone on, so I can like hear if there's other stuff happening in my apartment. Not that really happens, but anyway, but then I hear them talking. I'm like, oh, wait, I have to listen with words. I can't just read the words.
Yeah, exactly. I have to actually pay attention. Gross.
Oh, goodness. I have to really interact with this show for my podcast about the show. Damn it. Hate it. So anyway, I guess we could just kind of jump into it. There isn't a whole lot to cover in terms of like setup. It's Terrace House. It's in Hawaii. That's it.
Yep. If you want to know what Terrace House is, go back to season 1 of our show, listen to the first episode, and come back here. If you want to skip all Boys and Girls, just listen to the first episode.
That's
know what Terrace House is, and come back to this episode to continue onwards.
Maybe, all right, that's a good point. Maybe I should actually cover what the show is really briefly before we go, because I did tell, like, it's true. This could be an on point for some people into the podcast, because if you didn't want to watch all of the previous season to get into it, this could be a good jumping on point for new people. Terrace House is traditionally a show that takes place in Japan. 3 boys and 3 girls live together in a house. It is a reality TV show. Generally speaking, they are encouraged to date. It's not like the producers are doing that, but it's like a lot of young people get on the show to kind of mix and mingle and just meet other young people. So that's just kind of the general vibe, is they're usually career or goal-oriented young people who want to meet other goal-oriented young people. and it usually takes place. It's a Japanese show. It usually takes place in Japan, but this season is a weird outlier. It takes place in Hawaii, and that's pretty much it. The cameras follow them. They are given 2 cars, and they other than that, there's no interactions from the producer or the people filming the show with the Terrace House members.
Yep, and it's very low key, easygoing. Not like any American reality TV that's full octane all the time.
High key as fuck. Yeah. It's essentially the opposite of like Western reality TV. It's really, I've tried to explain to people that don't like reality TV. I'm like, you would actually like this. It's just a chill show. Like, you would probably enjoy this. And they're like, but they are so inundated with what Western reality TV is as being over the top and incredibly stupid. And I'm like, it's just none of that. It's so, it's slice of life reality TV, you know? Anyway. Let's get into it. So the show starts with the critics' couch, and they basically are just talking about how they went to Hawaii on like a business trip, I guess, for the show. The critics' couch from left to right has 6 members of it. Most of them are comedians, essentially by trade, or I think Reina is like a model.
Yeah.
So the house couch is filled with Azusa Babazono, it's the lady on the far left, then Yoshimi Takui, the thin man who sits on the floor next to her, older woman named Yu, then next to her is Reina Trendle, then next to them is Kentaro, the young boy, and then on the far right is Ryota Yamasato. He is the glasses silly man who is bad with women.
Yes.
They're pretty good. They are the same critics from last season, and they basically remain the same throughout. Sometimes they will swap out Kentaro for a new young boy.
Yeah, they swap out that young boy every now and then, but everyone else is pretty stagnant.
Yeah. Everybody else is just part of the show. They have been since from the beginning. So they're talking about how they went to Hawaii, and one night apparently Ryota went into a hotel and was just super drunk and started unpacking his bags in the hotel lobby, and I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
that was really the only part I noted about it, because they aren't talking about the kids in the house yet. And I was just like, wow, that is a lot.
I wasn't sure if they're like just teasing him, or that he did that, or if he like actually did that. They're like, oh, you're so drunk, like unpacking like the lobby, or if he was just like trashed and they had to like take care of him.
Yeah, I don't know, they were mocking him pretty good for it, so if it didn't happen, I would be disappointed if it was just a silly story they made up. That happens also sometimes with the critics' couch. They just make things up. They're like, it would be cool if this happened, and fantasize about a reality that's not going to happen in the show.
Yeah,
but it's entertaining. All right, so let's let's go to the house. Let's meet these boys and girls. First of all, we're in Hawaii.
Yes.
The first member enters. It's a girl, and basically she just looks around and inspects the house and sits down at the table, and you don't really learn anything about her. It's a girl. Next person comes in, and now we get to learn who this girl is and this guy that enters the house. The guy who comes in, his name is Yuya Shibusawa. I definitely pronounced that well.
Yep.
He introduces himself to the girl, whose name is Lauren Tsai. We find out Lauren is from Massachusetts, but she's apparently lived in Hawaii for 11 years. She does not really like the sun.
No, she's very pale. She's very, pale. Very pale for being in Hawaii. She's like, yes, I do not like the sun that much. Thank you.
Yeah. Yuya is from Japan. He's actually he's half American. And he wants to be an actor, and so he's trying to learn better English so he can get better into acting.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting because like Lauren's trying to learn better Japanese. I think she even mentions at one point that like she's like, oh, I learned Japanese like watching shows like Terrace House and like reading the subtitles, and he was like, oh, I want to learn English. So then they make a pact to help each other out with.
Yeah, and you might be wondering, wait a second, Lauren learned Japanese from the subtitles. Generally speaking, so all the members are usually at least half Japanese, and they know Japanese because they are half Japanese and have lived in Japan. Lauren is actually just an American.
She's half Chinese, half European or something like that.
So, yeah, but she just liked anime and other weeb shit seemingly, so she taught herself Japanese and then studied abroad and learned Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's kind of like the weird outlier. Like, if you were to have an Armin-like figure in this, she's even more American in a sense, though, because she's from she's from Massachusetts originally, so like America, contiguous 48 states. And also she's not Japanese at all. She just was really into Japan, so she learned Japanese.
Just really into Japan, happened to be in Hawaii, and get on the show.
Yeah. So yeah, she was just like, I'm a model. Oh yeah, she's a model, we find out.
A model and illustrator. She wants to work in video games or animation, so there's more of that weeb shit going in.
More weeb shit. So
she's actually very nice. She's also a very good artist.
she's good at art, and she seems entirely pleasant up till this point.
It's more like fucking weeb.
Can't believe you, nerd. Anyway, more on our Terrace House podcast. So the next person who enters the house is Avian. I actually didn't write down Avian's last name.
It's a coup. We found out like super later, like her and like Eric just like don't mention their full names like ever. There's like that's it.
Yeah. Anyway, her name's Avian. I don't fucking care about her last name, and you don't either. Avian is born and raised on the Big Island in Hawaii. She lived in Japan for 6 years originally, or at some point to do like some schooling. She works at a t-shirt shop that her family owns that I guess is like a popular t-shirt shop called 88 Tees. She's 26. And they find out, by the way, that we didn't know ages up till this point. She's 26, and the other two, Yuya and Lauren, are both 18.
Woohoo!
But we got these fresh-faced 18-year-olds. Who was 18 in the last season? We really only had, what was her name? Hikaru, and then the girl at the end.
The ballerina?
No. Ballerina was young. No, but the girl in the end who was embroiled in the sex scandal.
Right. Yeah, her. Rico.
Yeah. Rico was like, she was a fresh-faced baby of 18 years old. Or 17, maybe. 18? 17?
I think a few of them were 18. It's just harder to tell because when they're in Japan, they can drink with everyone else. Unlike here, as we find out, all the 18-year-olds are stuck drinking juice while the big boys are drinking alcohol. Yeah.
Well, there was I feel like from last season, there was 4 total people that were 18 throughout the whole thing. Like there was the first girl, and then there was that hot young boy that came in that was young. He was 18, and then Rico. So it was 4, maybe 5 over the whole season. Immediately at the jump of this, there's 3 18-year-olds already in this house. And so it's very it's a very young skewed house right off the bat.
Yeah.
Another person, spoilers, comes in who's 18 years old.
Yeah, I think only Rico and Hikaru might have been 18. Everyone else is probably low 20s, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that this is, oh wow, we have 2 fresh-faced babies in the house.
Yeah.
So the new guy arrives. His name is Eric. Eric, by the way, if you have followed Armin's Instagram, you would recognize Eric because he is buddies with Armin. So if you are into the social media and followed Armin from our last season, who lives in Hawaii, then you know Eric. Eric makes furniture. At this point, he is 27 years old.
Yeah, but Avian's 26.
26? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Avian's 26. Yeah, I thought I said that already. Okay. He's starting a cafe in Hawaii, and he's a craftsman. He builds furniture and things like that, so he's looking to physically build out this coffee shop called the soup
Punch Bowl.
The Punch Bowl. I almost called the Soup Bowl, which would be a worse name. Yeah, the Punch Bowl. So that's kind of his whole deal. Then another house member enters. Her name is Naomi Loriane's Frank, shit. I barely. So me and Matt have seen this show before, and I remember some people, but I did not remember this girl fucking existed.
Same. She even came in last season, I remember most everyone who came was okay, I remember this person. Even the ballerina had no impact on the show. I kind of remembered every time Naomi's on screen, I'm focused. I'm who the fuck is this girl? I have no memory of this person whatsoever. Everyone else I remember, but I'm who is this person in this house? Who is Naomi? I have no memory of her whatsoever. Yeah, I have right. You retain a vague sense of who they are from watching Terrace House, but everything's so low key, you don't remember a ton of their personality. Yeah. And this I really don't remember this fucking person at all. Naomi is brand new to my mind. Yeah, she also has a loud personality too. It seems I don't know why I don't know who she is because she comes in the house is very flamboyant and loud and out there, but I'm no memory whatsoever of this girl.
Yeah, she's very friendly when she enters. Apparently, she's half American, half Japanese, but her parents are divorced, and Shigeru has been living in Japan since 7, and she tells them, I'm effectively just Japanese. She is not culturally Western at all, really.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. This is actually, so after she tells them that about her being half Japanese, half American, someone brings up Lauren's ethnicity and is what so you're half Japanese then too? Because I can tell she looks like kind of more Western. And then she's like, actually, no, she does the whole spiel. I'm half Chinese. I'm half European. I'm actually just an American that liked Japanese. And so I learned Japanese. They're like, oh shit, your Japanese is really good. And she's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that's wild to me. Somebody is on a later season that is also like a Westerner, and they just learned Japanese because they were super into it and they got onto the show. And it's kind of like cool to see that guy as well in the future. I liked him a lot. Spoilers.
Also the girl in like the most recent season 2, the Russian girl who. Also,
oh yeah! Oh, she also kicks ass. All right, well, all right.
All these non-Japanese people kick ass.
Well, no, some of them just like it brings in different flavors,
Yeah,
and so it's fun. It's fun to see kind of a thing that you can relate to more in the show. Yeah. Anyway, so Naomi tells us that she basically can only speak Japanese because she was raised with her mom, who's Japanese. So she doesn't really speak any English. After that, new boy enters. He is this baby little boy. This little baby boy. Yusuke Aizawa. He looks the youngest. And he is about the same age as everybody else, but he's actually also probably the youngest out of the 18-year-olds. I think he said he turned 18 like a month or a week ago or something.
I think it was like the day before he came to the house, he turned like 18 or something like that.
Yeah, he like just turned 18. So he's a musician, and you can tell because he comes in with a guitar case and a ukulele case. He says he's originally from Tokyo, but he's been living in Hawaii for about 3 years. He's going through school, and also he's like a real ass musician, like doing a lot of guitar and ukulele and like working on his music career. Basically, he just wants to be a professional musician.
And he tells everyone that like he apologizes because like in like a few days he's like, I have to go to like someplace else, like this like contest I entered. Find out later in the episode that like everyone else he places like professional like adult musicians, and he's like this like
it's not like a
high
kids
school
competition.
Boy.
Yeah, it is the competition that he entered his album into was the Japanese Hawaiian music competition in Japan. So he's going to fly to Japan, I guess, and represent for the album that he did. Yeah, he's very good, as we find out later, at music. I feel like I kind of want to talk about this for a minute. Sometimes people come onto the show and they're like, I'm doing this. And sometimes they're not that good at that thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, so like I don't know, I kind of got used to this. I feel like maybe the people in these earlier seasons were better at it, but so they kind of bring people in and for like a skill or a talent or something like that. And it's kind of like, oh, okay. Like even Momo wasn't like the best ballerina, but she was pretty good. She got a job, right?
Yeah.
Momo from our last season was a ballerina. But so this boy comes in, he plays guitar and he's really good at it. And then in like later seasons, some people come in who are like of a certain skill set and they're just bad at that thing. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel bad. Like
the chef from the Opening New Doors is very good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a comedian that comes late. It's like there's a bunch of people that have other talents in things that come onto the show. And it really makes you appreciate when you have somebody who's truly like talented and has worked super hard at something and you get to see their skills on the show on display. Because some people come in and they're like, yeah, I'm a woodworker. And then they show you like, oh, it's a bear. And it looks like a mangled dick. You just have no idea what it was supposed to be. So it's cool that like he comes on and he's actually excellent at it.
He's also like super humble about it, which we'll discuss later, but he just like doesn't super talk about it or show off.
Yeah, for sure. He's not like a showy person at all. You can tell he's like pretty reserved when he comes in.
Yeah.
We also, this is actually, I guess, when we learn Eric is 27 and Naomi is 23. So Naomi's kind of in this in between of there's 3 kids who are 18, Naomi's 23, and then Eric is 27. Where is that everybody? No, wait,
Avian's
there's someone
26.
Else. Oh yeah, Avian's 26. Yeah, so she's kind of in between. I guess she's probably relates more to Eric and Avian because I feel like when you get above like 22, 23, 24, you're kind of just in like that adult life mindset, you know?
Yeah, don't hang out with anyone who can't drink. You know, once you can start drinking, anyone who can't drink legally is lame.
Yeah, those people should be dead to you. So, man, Matt, we have some priorities. So,
wait, I have a question for you. Like, Eric is 27, right? Which is about how old we are. But he looks so old.
That's not even true. I'm going to be 29 in like a week.
Oh, you old
yeah,
fuck.
thank you. Excuse me, I'm a little older than Eric.
Yeah, but anyways, he looks super old. Must be like all that tanning
you think
and
so?
the skin and stuff. I thought he looked like...
Yeah,
maybe it's just like compared to like
does.
everyone else in the house who's like baby 18-year-olds. I'm like, dude, this guy looks like a dad.
Yeah, he does. Eric definitely looks the oldest. I don't even know. Do you think he looks older than old man from last season, the chef?
I think so.
Yeah,
He
you're
has like
probably
the
right.
stubble and like the was like weird dad clothes. So
Yeah, a description of Eric is like he just dresses like a chill Western dad. You know,
Yeah.
he just rocks t-shirts and like jean shorts and shit, and like he just looks like a dude you'd meet in Hawaii.
weird.
Weird how that works out. This guy living in Hawaii, building a cool coffee shop in Hawaii, looks super chilled out, like whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, all right, back to, I guess, these introductions. So this is where Yusuke tells them that he's going to be in Japan for about a week because of the music thing, and everyone's like, oh, that's like fucking wild. And then we get our intro song.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought they changed the intro song for this. Did they not change the intro
They
song?
did not. They maybe
Mhm.
by the end of it this season they do, but yeah, I remember that it carried through for at least another season, because then when they do change it, I was like fucked up, because it carried from one season to another.
Yeah, I definitely remember like us talking about like when it did change and like how fucking mad we were about the new intro song just being trashed too.
God, that was like I think I even like the intro song that they eventually pick. I think they do swap it at the next real season. And I have come to love it. I like the new intro song. It's not, I don't think it's as good, but it still is extremely cheesy and like gets you hype by the end of it.
I feel like they definitely changed the intro song like halfway through the season or something.
Oh, you think it's only partway through? Fuck.
Yeah.
That would be fucked up.
Yeah.
How could you not keep the same intro song for the whole thing?
I don't know. But
You know
almost,
what's... Sorry,
I was going to point out something. Like, before like the intro song, like everyone's like talking, getting to know each other, and like they ask each other their professions, and like everyone talks like what they're doing except for Naomi, and it's like, okay, cool, we know each other now. And then like cuts to the intro song, which then like shows like what everyone does, and for Naomi it just says like undecided. Like, the biggest, boldest waters. I'm like, who is this girl?
That's true. I don't. Yeah, they don't really talk about what she's doing. Right?
She's just existing in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just chilling out in Terrace House, and I mean that's a cool life, I guess.
Yeah.
Really should have said that for Armin.
She's just trying to become Armin, but even Armin had like was doing things. And
yeah, at least he had the idea of being a fireman. Sure. Yeah, I was just thinking about shows changing theme songs, and the Jersey Shore has this new show called Jersey Shore Family Reunion, because it's been like 10 years since the original Jersey Shore seasons happened, so they brought it back, and now they're all like 30 or late 30s, and which is just kind of a look for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they have a different theme song, and it has like a robot person that like during the intro Jersey Shore, it's like, you know, the music, and then you get like a bit of Snooki, and she's like, I'm drunk, and then they do the next person, right? And it was this originally in Jersey Shore, it was I think it was part of like an LMFAO song or something, and they're just like, get crazy, get wild, and it like was the Jersey Shore. That song was like perfectly fit that thing. And now the new one has like this weird robot-y intro where it's like, here I come, and it's just like some techno beats in the background. It's like, what this does not fit at all, and it's very awkward. It's also a way worse show than the original stuff, because they're all like 30 now, and so some of their antics are just like pathetic for somebody who's like going to be 40 soon. But yeah, it's it really should just be a lesson, like, hey, you do have to grow up at a certain point. Should we talk more about Terrace House?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's just the intro song thing. Really, it tells you. Intro song tells you a lot about a show.
It gets you into the mood of the show. If the intro song is not right, then you're not setting the proper mood for the show that's following. It's just how it goes.
For sure. That's why our intro song is great. So, then they do a tour of the house. This like whole sequence is super long and drawn out. I'm just going to tell you guys, they do a tour of the house. The girls pick their beds. The boys pick their beds. In the boys' room, Yusuke, the 18-year-old ukulele player, has said he's never had a girlfriend or had like a love with a girl before. So he would like to do that in this setting. So that's exciting.
Before Yuzusuke, like, during like the whole like house tour, like while everyone's like walking around, they're like, oh, you could like play us the guitar in this room, you can play us the guitar in this room, you can play the ukulele here, or you can play the ukulele by the pool for us. It's like this poor guy, everyone just wants him to play the guitar for him, like.
Yeah,
always.
They're really setting up, if this is a bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
They're essentially going to use this young boy as a jukebox for the rest of these episodes. Play us some ukulele music, boy.
Yeah. Also, I sent you a photo of this, but when they're doing like the tour of the rooms, like in the playroom, we do see one cameraman's face in the background when Lauren Side knocks on the door. There's like this random person just like standing behind her, staring off into the distance. So we have
this is the first time. Yeah, this is like really the first like fourth wall breaking kind of production-y thing that I feel like, and I didn't even notice it. This is really like the first ever time that you like, oh shit, there are people filming this.
Yeah, it was very weird.
It happens like in a lot of other, I feel like other reality TV shows like will do that to make you be like, this is a serious show. Look at all these big cameramen, and like, you know what I mean? They'll do like intense moments where you see the guys with the boom mic running around, and like the cameraman, like they get B-roll of them doing things to make you realize like this is a show being filmed, and like this is so the opposite of that, you know?
Well, it's like in Love is Blind at the end of it, one of the cameramans like chases one of the brides like out of like the church and is like chasing her through like the streets. It's like the cameraman's like running after her. It's just like it's so
did she dip out on him? Did she dip out on the guy she said she would get engaged to at the end of Love is Blind? Is that what happened? I didn't watch it.
It was the other way around. He broke her heart, so she's like booked it.
Oh,
and the cameraman's like chased after her.
That's pretty sick. There was a moment in in Bachelor where a guy realized he dumped the one girl out of the final three that he liked. Or no, she said she was going to leave, and he was like fucked up about it. And so he jumps over like a 10-foot high fence. He was a professional like football player apparently at a time, so he's like very athletic. And he fucking like puts his arms up, grabs the top of the fence, and yeets himself over the fence. It was wild.
That's awesome.
Look up like Colton Bachelor fence jump. It's stupid.
I'll do it. I'll do that to the show.
Anyways,
I do want to point out one more thing about like the house tours, that like the girls' room is like always so spacious and has like nice shelving and everything, and the boys' room is always just like a pile of wood in the corner that they put into like beds.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because they're like trying to make the boy room feel like this one's for the boys, so
this
it's like a
rugged
little bit
for
like,
the men,
rugged for dudes. If you want to shave your junk with a razor, it can't be pink; it has to be black and have like
toxic masculinity. Here we go. Gotta be wood and hard. Gotta smell like the grain of the earth.
If when you're shaving, you don't get the sense of a race car going by the side of your junk, what the fuck are you doing?
Wood. You want wood in your room. Other girls have like actual nice rooms.
Basically the bed frame for the boys' bed just looks like the most basic IKEA bunk bed situation you could get, because it's not painted and it just looks like
it just looks like this like put like a bunch of 2x4s together and just called it beds.
Yeah. It's less refined, let's say. All right, so after the house tour, they meet in the playroom, decide to go to the supermarket so that they can go and buy things. And I think Eric talks about like, hey, let's get some drinks so we can also drink later. And this was when I remembered, oh shit, 3 of these kids are 18 and we're in America. You can't drink if you're not 21 in America.
They can't drink.
So that's real dumb. Why is the drinking age not 18?
I don't know. Literally,
like I feel like pretty much every other country, like Europe and Asia, the drinking age is like 18, if not younger. I think in France,
Canada's 18.
Yeah, Canada's 18. I think in France and Italy, I think definitely in Italy, if you're eating a meal, you can be like 15 and have a drink.
I think in like Italy, if you're eating a meal with your family, you can like be like any age and drink wine, pretty much.
Yeah, I know that like it's like a family thing, but like if you're just like there's like a thing. It's like if you have this much food, then you can have like one beer with like this much food if you're like a 15-year-old or something. Even in England, I think that might be a thing. Anyway, America sucks. That's stupid. These 3 out of these 6 people cannot consume alcohol
on camera.
on camera, right? Correct. So then we kind of go back to the critics' couch, and there was at one point during the house tour a hammock. I just thought of mentioning this, that Ryota is like, people are gonna fuck in that hammock though, and it's like, are they? Who wants to fuck? Like, I don't know.
Maybe
think about having
cuddle sessions in the hammock, but not like
even having 2 people in a hammock is a safety hazard. I would never like. I've been in hammock situations. I never want to be in a hammock with even one other person, because if one person rolls or moves the wrong way, guess what? You're both ending up on your face.
That's true.
It's not a fun time. I've seen it. I feel like I've seen it too many times for how many times. I feel like the amount of times I've seen a hammock is dangerously close to the amount of times I have seen two dipshits in the same hammock flip over and hurt themselves. I feel like those are not that. Those numbers are dangerously close in my experience.
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning that, like, the hammock is like right outside. Like, the boys' room has like a door access to like the pool, and the hammock is like right outside that door. So like the boys have the boys' room has like a sliding door that goes to, like, the pool area, and like that's where the hammock is. So like if anything happened, like right outside the bedroom, which will just be like.
Yeah, that would be kind of gross. Yeah, during the house tour too, like, I guess briefly we should talk about the house. It's very pretty. It's a giant house. There's a bunch of rooms. There's a fucking pool. It overlooks like the ocean, and you can see like I think it's like a volcanic like mountain like off in the distance, and it's beautiful. It looks very nice.
The pool has like the Terrace House logo on the bottom of it. Although I feel like this house is like, did it feel smaller too than like the boys and the girls house?
Oh, I thought it was big. I thought it felt bigger to me, if anything.
Or maybe this is because like the other house had like much higher ceilings than this one that it felt
That's
bigger.
true. The living room ceiling was really high, but I think this one, well, I don't know if the other one had 3. Yeah, it definitely had 3 floors. This one also seems to have like 3 floors. Yeah. But like even in the one when they were later on in the show, they end up in like this like kind of basement living room, and there's like another living room right next to it. And it's like, what the, you know what I mean? It just seemed, I don't know. It seemed pretty big to me.
That's fair. I don't know.
I was just also assuming that it might be larger because this is in Hawaii versus being in Tokyo, where space is at more at a premium. So, but the ceilings, you're right. That second floor, like in the living room of the Tokyo house that they just came from, the ceilings were super high. It was a very nice room to film it, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway. I'm gonna have to cut all this out because I'm reading my notes.
Yeah. The Critics Couch calls Yusuke very classy and mature for an 18-year-old virgin.
Oh yeah. They do talk about that, and yes.
And like, or maybe him and Lauren Sai will get like.
Yeah, they seem to think that like these two might hit it off because he's like creative and kind of artistic, and so is she. So that seems to kind of be a thing. The Critics Couch is like shipping right away. After the Critics Couch, the house all goes, guess what? They go shopping. The cars this season, by the way, I do like to mention the cars because it's like part of a vibe, you know? They have a Ford Mustang. We're in America. Look at that. And the other one is a Toyota Tundra, or some Toyota pickup truck. Yeah. If they really wanted to have gone full American, it would have been obviously an F-150 and a Mustang, but it's Terrace House. So we have, if you're not buying the one most popular pickup truck, you're probably buying a Toyota Tundra or Tacoma or whatever the other fucking one is. Actually, I don't know if that sells more than like the Chevy whatever generic pickup they sell.
No, I definitely feel like the Chevys and like the F-150 are like way more popular. Yeah. Out in like the sticks of America.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, it's a Japanese show. Toyota. Believe it. All right, so when they go to the store, I just had this one note. They spend a lot of times looking at all the brands because it's all like American brands, and I think that lets like really the most fourth wall kind of thing that I noticed throughout this is like the producers of the show are having fun with the fact that this is in America. They show the housemates speaking English a couple of times here and there. They're showing these very American brands on things, and it's like, look, it's America. Isn't this fun? There's a Mustang. Look how big the sedan is. Look how stupidly big the sedan is.
Even at the very beginning, the Critics Couch is like, oh, Terrace House is now being streamed like 190 countries, and we're going worldwide, so now we get to go to America and interact with like the international audience.
They're super hype on their like international feel and reach of the season so far, which is cool.
They never do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel, they get a good mix of housemates, but they kind of stick to like, it should really be in Japan. Yeah. I bet it was also like, I bet you filming sucked in terms of like the people who were doing the show. I bet you like the people who were like recording and producing the show were like, hey, I had to live abroad for a year. Yeah. I couldn't see my wife and family because I was in fucking Hawaii filming the show for you for like a year.
Yeah.
So that may also play into the...
It's also probably harder just to find like Japanese speaking people to go to Hawaii for a year.
Well,
or I would move into the house, I guess.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. But listen, if someone was like, hey, do you want to just go move to Hawaii right now and just like live in a house for free? I'd be like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it
I
sounds
can pretend to know Japanese.
Yeah. Oh, God. That just sounds like I would do oh, no. Couldn't do that. Would be bad.
Do it, Matt. Do it.
No. So anyway, moving on. Once they get back to the house, they got like a bunch of other groceries, but they basically buy a bunch of ready-made food, so like pizzas and like already ready-made meals at the thing. There's a bunch of yeah, it's the first night. There's a lot of light conversation that goes at the dinner. The most interesting thing that I picked up from this dinner time conversation, Matt, I want you to guess what the most interesting part of this dinner time conversation is. And there's really only one thing that they talked about that was noteworthy, so you probably know what it is.
Is it when Eric asks Lauren if she prefers Japanese or American men, and wouldn't drop the subject?
Yep. Yeah, it was like Eric is... I mean, maybe this is also just a thing with like people who are older, but like he really was like... So, hey, like, do you prefer Japanese or American men? And she was like, I mean, it depends on the person. And he's like, but like, let's pretend someone was raised in Japan or raised in America. Who would you want to date? And she's like, depends on the person?
Yeah, really, she's like, it really just personality depends person to person. But like, what about this situation? It really depends on the person.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. And I also feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe if like you're from, I think also being American, you meet a lot of people from a lot of different places. Yeah. You just meet a more diverse breadth of people because America's more diverse than Japan. So that kind of thought of, oh, you're born and raised here, so you're like this, doesn't really apply. That happens, and people think that of people from different regions of the states and stuff, but that's also bullshit. It depends on the person, Yeah.
Like at the end of this, Naomi like pipes in. She's like, "Oh, I've only dated Japanese men," and then Eric was like, "Oh, you must have been very popular in Tokyo." Wink, wink. And she's like, "Yeah, there was a time like that." He's like, "Oh, I see, I get it." I was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, I also don't know. Yeah, maybe she was saying like I used to date around and now I can't find a boyfriend. I think
that's what she was implying, but like just the fact that like Eric like first introduced that of him being like, oh, you must have been like real popular with the boys. Wink, wink.
Yeah, it's this like kind of weird. I don't know. It's not that weird. It's a little like I don't love this line of questioning from Eric, but I still don't think it's nearly as gross as like what the hairdresser and Tap were like last season. Like it's a little bit like I don't love this, but it's still not nearly as bad as those interactions
like way
were.
More playful than like the hairdresser and Tap.
Yeah. None of it was like I mean, Eric didn't make anyone cry. So he's clearing a high bar set by Tap last season. If you didn't listen to the last season, Tap is a piece of shit.
Yeah, there's also during this time that like for some reason Yuzuke just like mumbles under his breath that like everyone is like so experienced, and then he like tells everyone that he's never dated anyone in his life.
Yeah, he had told the guys earlier like in the boys' room about that, but now he like tells all the girls like, yes, I've never had a girlfriend.
Yeah. Like,
anyway,
like Eric and like Naomi like teasing each other. He's like, "Wow, everyone's like so experienced in the house." Everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I've never like held a girl's hand." They're like, "Oh,
right, yeah, for sure." So after he says that he's never had a girlfriend, it kind of also leads into just a quick thing of for some reason all the girl. I think he'd like a girl who would take the lead. Did you say that?
Yeah, well, yeah. That's like what his type would be. He's like, "Oh, I want someone who's cheerful." He's like, "I used to be like, shy, so I need like someone maybe who can like take the lead and kind of like lead me around and like whatever, be a voice where I can't have a voice."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that leads to all the girls chiming in and just saying like what they kind of look for in a person that they would date. And so Naomi said she would like a manly man who's like strong and has like a manly body. Lauren says she likes creative people, and Avian says she wants like a goal-driven person who kind of takes the lead.
Yeah, I think the girls said that because like the guys were questioning them, and then like none of the other guys like mentioned like their types. That's like the end of the conversation.
Yeah, like Eric and what's his name?
Yuya.
I always like whenever his name. I always forget his name. But yeah, Eric and Yuya just like didn't offer up that information for whatever reason. But they seemed it seemed like they were kind of prying at the girls, like, tell us how you feel about guys really quick though. Anyway, so the boys and girls then after dinner have like a chill out session in the downstairs, and they're just like hanging out, and basically they like ask the young boy like, hey, come like play us a song, piano man, play some music. And he comes back with his guitar, and he plays some guitar, and they're like, holy shit. Then he comes back with the ukulele. He plays some ukulele, and he makes a joke. He says, my instrument has shrunk.
Yes, very good.
very good. It was a little funny.
It was cute though, because like in the beginning he's like wearing these like cute little pajamas, but like I made a note that like it really made him seem like a little kid, because like he's wearing pajamas and like Eric is like relaxing on the beer, like talking about. So he's like, "Oh, so you got school tomorrow, there, son? Huh? How's that going? Why don't you go get your guitar and play for me and like the other family members?"
Yeah, it was super. Yeah, yes, I think they even said like, "Oh, your pajamas are cute. You look, they're very kawaii. They're very cute." And yeah, but so he's really good at like guitar and the ukulele. If you want a sampling of him doing that, his musical, I think his artist name is Eden Kai, EDEN space KIA. You can just go look up his music. It's good. He's really good. I don't know what like genre that is, but it's just like acoustic guitar. But there's like a certain genre of like, not jazz, but it's like very flowing, like guitar riffs and fucking just jamming out. And I used to, sometimes when studying, it's like good study to music to vibe to that isn't lo-fi beats.
Yeah. But yeah, it's worth knowing that like Eric is the one that like kept pushing Yuzuki to like go get his guitar to play it. And like after he got his guitar, like he went and put it back in the room, and I came back and like, why don't you go to ukulele now to go play some ukulele music? So I had to go back and get the ukulele and come back and play the ukulele music.
Yeah. They just kind of demanded that he do that for them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So also I want to mention, Matt, during the ukulele playing, I did get goosebumps, and Avian also said that she got goosebumps. And so I wanted
match made in heaven. You should. I won't tell Christina.
Okay, great. Good. I'm really looking to date someone in Hawaii currently with this current lockdown situation, also while being married.
Yeah, I was also very disappointed that the song that Yusuke played on the guitar was like an original song he wrote called Dearly, and it wasn't Wonderwall. Very missed opportunity by him.
Anyway, here's Dearly. Fuck yeah, missed opportunity. That would have been good if he just did Wonderwall right off the. Oh my god, that would be so good.
That would have been so good.
It would have been really good if you fucking played Wonderwall.
They would have like, wow, this guy's a fucking hack. He's like a shit guitar player.
That would have been sick, though. I would have. Oh my god, we gotta like edit that together. I'm not gonna do that, but if I had the time and care,
someone else.
Somebody else really quick, just edit instead of him playing that. It plays Wonderwall when he plays the guitar, and they're like, "Whoa!" Also, this is the beginning of Lauren starting to make a face when she's impressed by something, of her looking shocked, where she kind of pulls her head back into her like chin, like pulls her chin into her neck, and it's like opens her eyes, like, "Wow!"
Yeah, and her jaw like literally dropped when he started playing the guitar.
Yeah, but this is like a Lauren reaction that I feel like you see several more times throughout the episode. Usually when he's playing his music. But this kind of like Lauren impressed face becomes like almost a meme, I want to say. Like the critics couch immediately catches on to like that face that she makes, and they talk about it later, and it's like that's just kind of a thing that she keeps doing when she's surprised by things. So anyway, then the critics couch, they talk about, oh boy, the guitar was really good. Yoshimi makes a joke about like he should have just snuck into their room after playing the guitar that good. They would have loved it.
Also, all the girls in the house were very, very impressed by his guitar playing and kept saying how cool he was when he wasn't in the room. Like, he'd like go to get another instrument, they're like, oh, he's so fucking cool. And they'd come back and then
really
like...
cool. Yeah. They were all very impressed by his guitar.
His guitar.
Well, that's not how you say it. So anyway, so then back at the boys' room, they kind of talk about who they're initially interested in. So Yuya is initially interested in Avian, I guess he says. Just, I don't know, for whatever reason.
Smiling and seems likable, I think is why.
Yeah. And Eric says initially he's interested in Lauren. Sure. That's nice. And then there's a quick girls' room, and Lauren was saying, wow, you can really like feel he really cares about the music. And I feel like that was true. Like when he was playing it, I don't know, you can just get like, you see like what a musician looks like when they're playing, and like he was very into it and having a good time doing it.
He's very committed, feels it out. She said she put like a sparkle in her eye. It's like all the girls like, yeah, she's like a genius with like the guitar, and he's like humble and like blah 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 blah. Yeah,
they didn't really. No one in the girls group. I don't know if they asked, but they didn't say they liked anyone yet.
Yeah,
they didn't do the same thing.
Everyone's like, oh, everyone says good and nice, and like, yep, everyone is nice.
Yeah. They didn't assign likes or dislikes to particular gentlemen in the house yet, which I feel like I don't know, it that feels more normal to me after like the first day, and be like, I like this person. Is like, well, do you really, you don't really know them yet. I guess they're just saying they think that certain people are cute, or they might like
it was like the the first episode of Boys and Girls, and then one just like liked Marco in the beginning just because he
was. Yeah, it's probably better to hold off on that. Yeah, hold off on your commitment to who you like because they might just kind of suck at baseball. So, so the episode ends. Boom, boom. And we go into episode 2. They do a quick recap, the Critics Couch, of like who everybody was from the first episode, in case you forgot. And then then we go to the house. It's the next day. Kai, well, I call him Kai. What's his actual, because his recording name is Eden Kai. Yuzuke. Yeah. So sorry. Sometimes I'll call him Kai because, that's part of his musical name. And like, I think later in the season, they start calling him that.
I think so. Also, when he shows up again in later series of the show, and they just call him Kai, I think, in that as well.
Yeah, so it's kind of, sorry if I do that. I don't even actually remember his name now that you just said it. Was it Yusuke?
Yusuke, yeah.
Yusuke? Okay, I'll try and remember. His name is not Kai. So if I've already done that a bunch of times, sorry. The guitar-playing boy is Kai or Yusuke. So anyway, the next day, he is going to school. And Eric goes to work, and that's very exciting. And then the people who don't have shit to do also meet in the kitchen. They're like, the free people are going to go to Costco, or are going to go to get lunch and then go to Costco after. And Avian was also with the free people. She has work today, but she thought it was like funny that Lauren referred to their group as the free people in Japanese.
I think I have in my notes, like, around this like scene, like Lauren is, you can definitely tell Lauren's like the weakest in speaking Japanese because she's the one who most frequently like,
using odd turns of phrase,
odd turns of phrase, like supplements words, like English words, and like I think she was like making tea, and someone's like, "Oh, what are you making?" She's like, "Oh, it's a green tea." Is what she said. She's like,
"Yeah, it just says green tea in English, right?" Instead of So when she says the free people, it's almost like the free people of Hawaii are going to.
Yeah, so she actually says like the free people of like Hawaii, like, of the house, but instead of like the people who are like free for the day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So just the way she phrased it was incorrect, and it's kind of funny. And yeah, Avian picked up on that. So that happens. Then, as there's a quick scene of like Lauren doing art as they're waiting, for, I can't even remember the Naomi's who's getting ready. And Yuya comes down. He's like, "Whoa, how long did it take you to do that?" And she's like, "I don't know, like 30 minutes or an hour. Just like a sketch as I'm waiting to, as we're waiting for what's her name." And he's like, "Oh, it's super good. It didn't take you longer." She's like, "No. Just did it real quick." It is a cool drawing. It's neat.
What do you think about the drawing? Was that 30 minutes to an hour's worth of work for you, or was that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe. It looks like she could have done it in like 30 minutes. I believe that. Are you asking like, do you think she had worked on it previously?
No, I'm just asking how her skill compares to yours.
No, I don't know. It's good. I mean, it's very good. I would say that is impressive that she was able to do that quickly, and it looks tight. There are some people that like, I don't know, they can just like sit down and bang something out and like that quickly. Like, especially when you have like a defined style, it's like easy, like when you kind of know what you want to do to just kind of form the thing.
Yeah.
And so she said she's been drawing since like she was young, and if you look at her art, she has like an art Instagram, and it's all like this style.
It's very good. I follow her art Instagram.
Yeah, her art is like really cool. I like it too. I don't think I follow the Instagram. Maybe I should. Anyway, but it's good. She has like this very defined style that I don't know. Well, it's like a sketch, hard line sketching like pens, rather than she went back over like watercolors and whatever. But yeah, it was good. I was into it. I liked it. So I think that I don't know, I have theories about like how certain styles develop for artists. Like if they have a really defined style, you can kind of tell how like they might have gotten there through doing art when they were young, if you see certain things about it. And like when you're first learning to like draw and stuff, and you're trying to form the shapes, you go over lines and things a bunch in certain places to like try and figure out which line looks the best. And so when you're first kind of sketching and doing that kind of stuff, it can kind of look messy. But it seems like she's kind of transferred that into she's more purposeful with those forming lines and isn't using too many, and is kind of able to feel out the forms in her work and then lay down like the solid lines connecting or defining the pieces, if that makes sense. Like she's using a lot of those lines to figure out the motion or movement of the thing, and also add shading, but then she kind of is able to form like the thing from that. So I'm into it. It's just like Also, like, I think that's probably how she got there, but I mean, even she probably doesn't know. You kind of, sometimes you just form a style or you go after something and that's how you get there.
Yeah, I mean, she said she's been doing it since she was like 2 years old. So like,
yeah. Then you just kind of get to a place and that's how you like your stuff to look. And yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, back to Terrace House. So a bit later, they will go to. So the intro song happens. Okay. After the intro song. Not even going to say a word.
Well, Matt's shy because Dylan is prowling through all of our recordings to...
He'll never get the full thing. I literally say all this time, it feels okay, and then the replay thing, and that's like 1/10 of the song. So
that's like most of the song.
All right, whatever. Yeah, I don't know what comes before or after that. Always stealing time, thinking it'll turn out right. Something like that. Is that accurate?
We're caught up in this world. Something.
Caught up in this. Yeah. No. Anyway, that's like a bit of our podcast is that I always sing a little bit of the intro song whenever happens. So later on, guess what? They go to this coffee shop that they talked about going to. It's called Coffee Talk, which I kind of like that.
Yeah.
It has a cool logo. They go to this coffee shop. They discuss things. Apparently, they're all from divorced families. So that somehow comes up.
Yeah, that was a weird thing for them. I mentioned in my notes, it's like a weird thing that they're just like, oh, we're all from like divorced families. Hell yeah, cowabunga.
Yeah,
like,
woo. Yeah, I think Lauren said her mom is remarrying soon, and she's really happy because I guess she likes the guy that she met. But that also means that like Lauren's mom is going to move to Virginia.
Yeah.
So that's R.I.P. Hawaiian Lauren's mom life. Now she's meeting Virginia. Yeah.
The three people going out to coffee are Lauren, Yuya, and Naomi.
Yes, yeah. The free people of the house.
The free people of the house. Also, like, on the way to the coffee shop, I think Yuya saw, like, some, like, drawing on the wall. It's like, oh, that looks like Naruto. And, like, Lauren's like, yeah, Japanese animation's popular in America. And they're like, what? She's like, yeah. Yeah, like, the concept of weebs is, like, foreign to them. They're like, what? Yeah. It's like, yeah, there's a whole group of people here that think your fucking anime is sick, dude. Yeah. You don't want to talk to them, but they really like it. Yeah. Trust me, you don't want to associate with weebs. It's not good. It also looks like Naruto. He's like, yeah, it's probably inspired by Naruto because, Japanese animation is very popular here. They're like, what? She's like, yeah, no, it's very good here.
Yeah.
A lot of people watch it.
Yes. So they also kind of talk at the coffee shop. They talk about their dating life a little bit. Lauren said she had like a boyfriend, like her first serious boyfriend was when she was 14, which LOL, good one. And since then she's just dated around, not had a serious relationship. Hey, Lauren, that's not when you date someone at 14, not a serious relationship, bud.
All right. Tell that to the Catholic Church and how they get married. Matt, checkmate, atheist.
Oh yeah, so she's never had, essentially Lauren's never been in a serious relationship is what she tells them.
Whereas Naomi's just got like a 6-year relationship. He's like, I'm going to use the house to get over my boyfriend, which we saw from last season how well that went for the doctor.
Yeah, that usually goes well. If you come into the house after being in a serious relationship, getting over them with these new people on the TV show, of course, is going to work for you. Of course, and then I think Yuya said he's looking for a girlfriend, but he doesn't. I don't think he mentioned really. He might have dated someone recently, but he doesn't really mention it, or it's not important. So
it's also interesting because like Yuya like calls out Lauren for like not talking, like seeming worried and kind of like sheltered. He's like, you can like talk to us or like the girls about like what's worrying you and stuff. Like you don't have to like keep things to yourself in the house.
Yeah, I think he kind of talks about like you can tell Lauren is the kind of person that is like okay being by herself or whatever, and that like you have a lot going on in your head all the time. But like if you're dating someone or you want to talk to us about stuff, you can do that. That was like very perceptive of him.
Yeah, it was like super perceptive. I think she was like talking about being like worried about succeeding in the art world. It's like, oh, you seem like someone who's like very alone and like used to like holding in like all your thoughts to yourself. But like just know that like you can talk to me or like Naomi, like the other girls, if like anything's worrying you. Yeah,
that was like extremely perceptive and like, yeah, that's actually crazy. All right, I guess I like Yuya now. So
that was wild. That was a wild call out.
Yeah, big Yuya fans already. All right, so after this scene, there's like a quick scene of Avian in the t-shirt shop talking English with her mom about first it just shows her speaking English to like customers, and then she's talking to her mom in English about like, yeah, it's like, it's been good so far. I think I'm going to cook for them. And the mom's like, if you need me to bring you stuff, I can bring you stuff.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It seemed like there's like the mom like being like super concerned, and like Avian just trying to like kind of like shoo her away, and like not being like this, like don't worry about me, stop like asking like all these questions, and like just kind of like whatever. But also it was weird how they were talking English when like the mom seemed like not very strong in English. So I was like, why weren't they just speaking Japanese to each other?
Maybe the mom thought just because it's being filmed, like she should try and do English because it's going to be on TV, you know. So maybe she's like just thinking like, you know, that, or also like
it was also like in the shop too. So maybe they just like don't speak Japanese in the shop.
Yes, or like around customers, which is like shitty, but like immediately my thought is people are racist. And so if you have people in your shop and you're speaking Japanese and you're like the store owners and they're like, then people feel, you know, like who are like, oh no, they're speaking another, are they talking about me? And it's like, you know, people are suspicious that that's like always happening. Oh, they're talking about me in another language or whatever. And
also, who cares? But yeah, I guess.
Yeah, also, who cares?
Given current events, I guess a lot of people care, but.
Yeah, apparently a lot of fucking people cared. In my country?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, anyway. So.
Back to the house for pasta dinner.
Back to the house for dinner. For pasta dinner that Lauren made. When she says the names of all the pastas, she says it in like her very English-speaking voice, her very American-speaking voice.
Yeah, well, she's like describing like the ingredients in like English, but then like she got to take tomato, and I think she kind of said it with like a Japanese accent, which is like weird. She's like, this is like, you know, pesto and like basil and like, and like she got to tomatoes like this weird like hack, like this like Japanese and like English describing like the tomato.
Yeah, you can. It's funny hearing like the difference in her like tone when she's speaking English and Japanese. Also, I wonder if like part of it's that she's not confident in Japanese, you know, as confident, so she kind of like raises the pitch of her voice, but like her American speaking tone is like very different.
Yeah. Well, like it seems like with like the food, she seemed like not very confident about it either. When everyone was like tasting it, she looked very concerned as like everyone was like trying the food for the first time. So maybe she's just like very, as you said, just like not very outward or like very like used to being alone and not interacting with other people. So it's like kind of doesn't have like that confidence sort of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, there's at this house dinner. Eric also mentions that he's working on his coffee shop and it's going to be California cool. And it's called Punch Bowl. So we get that kind of background here if you care about that.
He's like, I can make latte art for you. He's like, okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. Maybe that's what her eventual job will be.
Ooh, latte artist.
A goal for Also, they talk about Kai's music and how they want to hear it again. And then they go to the critic's couch and basically Ryota compares himself to Kai because of like his inexperience with women. Huh?
Yuzuke, yeah.
Yeah, Yuzuke. Okay, sorry. Wait, isn't it Ryota?
Yeah, you said Kai.
Oh, fuck, sorry. Yeah, Yuzuke. Yes, Ryota compares himself to Yuzuke, the guitar playing boy. I'm just going to call him Guitar Boy from now on.
That's fine. Or Kai is fine.
No, just calling him Guitar Boy.
Yeah, I mean, like, the reason why Yamasato like, compares himself to him is because, like...
he's bad with women.
Yeah, but also like, everyone in the house is, like... The three people of the house were talking about their day together and how they got close to one another. Like, I think you was like, oh, we all got like, real close. And then, like, Kai or Yuzuke got, like, real jealous. He's like, oh, I have to, like... I was, like, in school, and now I have to, like, go to Japan for this concert for 3 days. So I think he's, like, concerned that, like, everyone's gonna, like, grow these relationships around him that he can't really, like, participate in because he's leaving so early during, like, the critical relationship forming time.
Forming of the house, sure. Yeah.
And then the critic says, like, oh, he's just bad with girls, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when Yamasato was like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. They were like, you're really not similar to Kai. He's actually cooler than you, so. He's actually way cooler than you, Ryota, so shut the fuck up. So after that, Kai says that he wants to get better at like back at the house. They're just like talking, and Kai's like, yeah, I want to get better at like opening up to people more and stuff like that, and find like inspiration for composing music and stuff like that. And Yuya said that he wants to learn English and to get a girlfriend, and Eric also wants a girlfriend. I think this is in the boys' room. They're just like...
I think it was like just like in the kitchen. There's like hang out in the kitchen. It's sort of like Eric and Kai, but like, it was like another moment like Eric was like full on dad. He's like talking to Kai's like, what do you want to do like after school? You're going to go to college? And Kai's like, oh, I was probably going to go to like LA and like pursue my music. I was like, oh, you don't want to go to like Berkeley and like do like the music career thing? He's like, oh, no, it's like expensive. He's like, okay, well, you know... Yeah. Gotta look out for yourself, son.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to go to Berkeley to do music. I mean, that's cool if you want to spend a shit ton of money, but like, let's say you're already a really good musician and you're going to like international competitions for music. Maybe you don't need to go to Berkeley. So just a thought.
We also learned in the scene that like Yuya's last girlfriend he stole from like his best friend or something like that. Like his best friend was dating his girl for like a week, and then she changed her mind and started dating Yuya or something like that. It's a really weird.
I did not remember that. That's very funny.
It's wild. It was hard to follow. I was like, what's happening? And I was like, oh, dude, you play it. And Kai's like, what's happening? He's like, you do that? Like, you do that to
just
girls?
Steal people's girlfriends?
He's like, is that normal? They're like, no.
Yeah. Is that normal? So later that night, there's a kind of light conversation scene with Eric and Naomi outside next to the pool having some beers. And basically he's like, oh man, we're the only ones that are going to drink together because Avian apparently doesn't drink and everyone else is a baby. So you're my drinking buddy.
They're both like, oh, we only drink when we're socializing, so I guess we just have to rely on each other to drink in the house.
Right. Yeah, it seems like Eric is more concerned with that than Naomi is.
Yeah. Well, she's like, I only drink when I'm socializing. Oh, yeah, me too. Like, I also, that's stuff I only drink when I'm socializing.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
That's
anyway,
me.
we have to drink together then.
We have to drink together now, because I'm not going to be drinking alone, I guess.
So after that evening, the next day, the free people of the house have pool time. Yeah. By the way, when I say free people now, it's just going to mean Naomi, because what is she doing?
Yeah, Naomi, Yuya, and Lauren.
Yeah.
But when Lauren and Naomi took off their clothes and got into the bikinis, Yuya didn't shout blue out, so what's the point, Matt?
Yeah, I have to say Yuya did a much better job at containing his feelings about girls in bathing suits, but he didn't have a hairstylist there egging him on, asking him about, hey, which one is the hottest? Say the color of the bathing suit.
So they call the bathing suit as the fattest ass.
Yeah, he has a normal pool time with them. Him and Yuya get a little... No, wait, he is Yuya. Him and Naomi get a little... Him and himself get playful in the pool. They kind of like tip each other out of like these floaties that they're in and stuff. It was cute. It was fun. They had a good
played
time.
the entire game while like Lauren was like coating her entire body in sunscreen.
Yeah,
before getting to the pool.
Yeah, she's pretty pale, so I feel like she would burn.
Oh no, I definitely
easily.
feel like if I'm out in the sun for more than like 20 minutes, I turn into like a lobster, and it's the worst. So
#relatable. Yeah, we're very
Lauren's are people in the house.
Yeah, Lauren's are people.
Some weeb shit in there,
Hey, wait, I'm not a weeb.
Okay.
Anyway, back to this Terrace House podcast. So they have this pool time. It's fun. Yusuke, there's a scene of him leaving. He's gone for... there's just on the board.
At the pool, they're like...
Oh, right. They demanded his jukebox-ness again to come and play music for them at the pool. He's not even like gonna hang out in the pool too. He's just like there to play music for them.
Yeah, they invited him to the pool with them. There was like a hand at the pool like, you want to make this better? If Yusuke came and played music for us.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's silly. I mean, maybe that's good. It's getting him to interact with them, but it's also like, I kind of feel bad.
Yeah, I feel so bad for the kid.
Yeah, it's weird. So anyway, I guess like the next day or something, he goes to Japan for this music competition that was mentioned earlier. That night, Eric sees like some of Lauren's art, and he's like, whoa, you're so good. You're really good. Are you going to go to art school? And like, she's only 18. So she's like, yeah, I'm planning on going to like an art school in New York. Which I don't know if she ever does. I mean, I don't initially, honestly, I don't think so, because I mean, just judging from her, like her art Instagram that I looked at and like her general Instagram, it looks like she just is doing mostly like the modeling for like her career. She's just being a model and then like doing whatever art shit she feels like, which if you don't have to go to like for those kind of things, you don't need to go and get a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
She like the barrier to entry for a lot of artists, like if you're a pretty good artist and you can get a fan base, you're kind of set, So
I think in the beginning she mentioned how like she was interested in doing like animation and like video game type art stuff, but she's like also like, yeah, that's like kind of where I want to end up. I'm also just like very much enjoying modeling now, so like whenever modeling dries up, I'll maybe pursue that. So
yeah.
Matt, if you ever need to know about video game art, I'll just point it to you and you can tell her not to go to Game Walk in Montreal.
Yeah, just don't. Spoiler, just don't. I don't know. A lot of people, like, this is like abstractly at a moment, but like, if you are a person that wants creative control over the art that you're doing and you don't want to feel like you're kind of a cog in a machine, And like you just wouldn't like most production art settings. Like you just wouldn't like being in film, you wouldn't like being in games, because like it's not, you know, until you're like the person leading the team, and it's not really your decision what it looks or feels like. And a lot of creative people, like artists, want that control because that's why they do art. So especially for her and like her style, like she has a super defined sound. It's like, unless like she could work with an indie game studio if they liked, if they wanted all the concept art and all the key art to look like hers, and then they had artists working with her to base it around that style, I could see that. But I couldn't see Lauren sitting at a desk in any of these big game studios just pumping out shitty assets.
Yeah, making boxes all day.
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, get 3D art is in like game development art is like really hard, and like I have a lot of respect for people that can like want to do that, but I just You
like drawing cardboard boxes all day and like wood crates and barrels, and
I got to make other stuff too. No, I mean it's
some grass, made a tree maybe.
And, you know, depending on what you're working on, you can make more fun stuff, but it's really just like, you know, it's a thing. The pipeline is long.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Anyways, back to the show. Like Eric finds her art. He's like, "Oh, this is like super good." And when I look at my art, and it's like weird sketches in like a book of like lines. She's like, "Oh, this is like for the punch bowl."
Yeah, him saying like art is like, he should have said like more like designs. Like he's doing more, you know, just scale designs of the stuff for his coffee shop. So him calling it art is kind of like a misnomer. It is practical design what he's doing. He has like measurements and, you know, angled views and, you know, like front and side and top views of the things he's going to make, which is good and necessary, but it's not, you know, it's not like beautiful art you want to hang up.
It's like, it is art, but like it's not like the same level. Like to go from like being like one like, oh, this is like my art, it's like, oh, do you want to see like my artwork, and just showing like topographical designs of like a cutout, punch out, whatever pop-up cafe that he's designing. It's like not quite the same.
No, it's not really the same thing. Not that it's not also difficult or interesting for other reasons, but it's like, you know, that's part of another process. Like doing that kind of stuff is fun too. Like doing like other practical kinds of building work is fun, you know, like when I did like some 3D printing and like laser cutting things where like then you have to turn your artistic ideas into like, okay, well, how is this going to print, or how is this going to slot together this thing that I'm making? That can be fun, but it's just different. Yeah. Anyway, so so Lauren said she's gonna go for like a run, and then like she's like definitely going to go for a run, not a walk, a run, at least half a run, and like this is all in English. So her and Eric have like this little cute jokey back and forth here that's all like all in English about Lauren going for a run and working out. Yeah, and how I assume she did it earlier, but like petered out at some point or didn't fully commit to the run, which is why they're teasing each other about it now. Right. Yeah. And then the critics couch happens, and they like love that. They're like, "Oh, sick. I love the English." And they also mention how they love or they think it's funny what's happening to Yusuke, the guitar boy, and how he has become a jukebox for the house. During the scene where Yuya and Eric were talking about like what they like, Yuya like teased Yusuke for like not having a girlfriend. He's like, "Oh, tell us about your class." He's like, "Oh wait, never mind, you never had a girlfriend." Ha ha ha. And during the critics couch, Yamasato said a line, "Don't underestimate the virgin, you man whore," in response to like Yuya like knocking on Yusuke. He's like, "Don't you underestimate the virgin, you man whore." Jeez, man, Ryota has a lot of thoughts and feelings. Yeah. All right, so after critics couch, they're back at the house kitchen. And Lauren and Yuya like go out for a run, and Lauren is like at the table for a bit doing some art, and Eric is like doing some designing. So this is kind of interesting because it's like making you think about, are they interested in dating one another, you know? Or like, are they interested in one another, you know? They're kind of doing like their own creative activities near one another, which is sometimes like it sounds stupid, but like when me and Christina started dating, like she's a writer and I do art, and it was like kind of a thing that like we want to do the thing that we want to do, but we also want to hang out. Yeah. And it is kind of an interesting dynamic when like two people, like two kind of creative people are doing that together. It's a vibe. I'd say. I don't know what that vibe, like maybe if Matt, you and your girlfriend were programming next to one another, maybe it's comparable
that. Well,
to
we don't
that.
do like next to one another, but we do program in like the same kind of like setting together. And it's just nice to be able to like.
Oh, you come over and you're like, oh, what are you coding? You're like, look at this. It's the numbers. It's
the numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
Oh my God. Incredible. I love you even more. Insane.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes down. I mean, she writes a for loop and then I'm just head over heels smitten for her.
Wow, that's fucking stupid. Anyway.
I'm going to get so much shit for this, but it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's that kind of vibe. They're both doing their creative endeavors next to one another.
Yeah, Lauren even like leans over at one point and like start talking about like Eric's like design work and like the cafe layout, and she's like, oh, it's like super nice, like how it's like open and stuff. So like able to have that kind of like creative conversation and like work with one another to like help each other out type of thing, which also furthers like probably what you were saying and how like, you know, just like vibing next to one another, like checking in and like complimenting each other's work and like seeing like all that stuff and like listening to them talk about it type of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing, especially for people like it's people who I'll call them normal people. Like if most of your hobbies and things you want to do involve around socializing and like leaving the house, then like it's very different like from people like that where it's like not, I don't know. I guess a lot of people understand what it's like now because the Rona, a lot of couples are living at home together, working together all day. But it's just kind of like you're being productive and doing like your hobby with the other person, and you're not directly interacting, but it's still kind, you know, it's just this kind of like cooperative, working separately together vibe thing.
Yeah, it's very nice actually because you kind of like help motivate each other because you know the other person's working, so it helps you stay focused on like what you're kind of working on. So.
Yeah, you don't want to look like a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like the whole bonus thing of like eating itself, of just like producing motivation for each other, and just
you
don't want to like come back together afterwards and be like your partner's like, I did like all this stuff and like I watch YouTube videos all day.
Some days that is what happens though.
Some days it happens, but you know,
some days that's what happens. Anyway, so yeah, after that whole thing, there is what I called the return of the run date. This isn't really a date. I don't actually think either of them consider this a date, but it just reminded me of the runs between Minori and Baseball Boy. Yeah, so it's not really a date, but
yeah, I feel like especially like early on in the house, like no one knows or is like comfortable doing like anything serious with each other. So like I feel like that's where we get these like weird running scenes because they're very just like lightweight, low commitment type of thing to do. Although I would never want to go running with someone who I potentially see as like a love interest, because I feel like running is the worst activity mankind has ever done in this existence. And I hate everything about it, and I turn into like this mess of a human being after like 10 minutes of running. So like,
yeah, I can understand. Me and Christina like would go to the gym and stuff together, but it's different going to like the same gym and like using workout equipment and stuff, and like going on a run, because it's like you're really committing to like going somewhere and then having to return. And so if like let's say you get like a dumb pain in your side because you didn't stretch well, then it's like, oh no, I look like a dumb out of shape idiot or whatever, like I look like a loser in front of this person who I'm trying to date. So that's probably a look. So I also probably would not do this. But on the run, Yuya asks Lauren about who she kind of likes the best. And Lauren's response was kind of like she wants to like piece different aspects of different people together to make like the prime person. So it's not like a real answer.
I think she's like kind of being diplomatic about it, because I think she initially said that like she's like, oh, like everyone has like good features. Like I don't really know, like I don't really have like my eyes on anyone yet. She's like, everyone has like good features that like if I was to combine like all the different features and make like the perfect person type of thing or whatever. Yeah,
maybe
like, everyone has like their own pluses and minuses. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's still a non-answer.
Yeah,
it's still completely non-committal.
Yeah, well, you could definitely tell that she was like awkward talking about it, because she was like sitting like the stairs, just kind of like looking off into like, the distance and like kind of like sheltering herself kind of tight when being like, haha, let's go back home now.
Yeah, there was that. I think it might just been the lighting from like whatever, like the lights of them shooting the scene. But after she answered that, it kind of got like quiet.
Yeah.
And then like it almost, I thought she was tearing up, but I think she was just, because she didn't seem upset at all. Yeah. It was like how her eyes looked under like the lights.
Yeah.
But then they ran home after. And I mean, I think it was fine, but I think like after that, she was kind of like, I don't know where to talk about or go from here. I mean, she's 18. She is, this artist that seemingly has a hard time like sharing how she feels with other people. So I think she immediately felt awkward and didn't know what to talk about. And then was like, let's leave.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're definitely kind of put on the spot. Like, he like asked that question and had like no real follow up to it. Like, she like answered it and it kind of like sat there in silence for like a hot minute until they left.
Yeah, and like I think they could be good friends and like get along and stuff like that. But it just in that moment for sure, there's just like they didn't know what else to talk about, so they're like, anyway, back to this run.
Yeah, let's go back home now.
Yeah. So they run and they run home and the episode ends. Doom, boom, 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 doom, doom.
Alright, Matt, what are your first impressions of the housemates?
I'm doing the whole thing. I'll probably have cut that out. What are my first impressions about the housemates? So like, I think immediately this initial cast, if I was to compare it to Boys and Girls in the City, which obviously we're going to, it's a stronger cast than the initial Boys and Girls in the City cast, because the Boys and Girls in the City cast had a really hard time breaking down conversation barriers, and it felt very oppositional. It felt not like opposition, but like they're other, like the boys and girls are very other from one another. And this kind of feels more natural and like they can be friends and not only see them as like a potential partner to win, and that they can that they're seeing each other as friends, and hopefully maybe, I find someone here that I like. Except for, I think, Yusuke Kai, Guitar Boy, who is very new. I think I like him, but he's the weakest link in socializing, right? And I mean, that's not a horrible thing. It's just he's the roughest at it. I think he's going to have the hardest time. And I think he feels very othered from women. Like, he's like, I know that kind of is like bold to maybe say, but like he's mentioned several times in this episode, that's kind of his, other than playing the guitar, that's kind of the defining feature of him throughout these episodes. The Guitar Boy is that like, I hope I can open up. I hope I can like, meet a girlfriend and like open up to her. And like, I think he just needs to relax and not see them as like, you know what I mean? Like, I think he just needs to see them as like friends and not think of, I need to find a girlfriend. It sounds silly, but I almost feel like going into situations like this where there's just people of the opposite sex around that you want to date or same sex, whatever, you should just go into it with the mind of like, can I be their friend? And then,
It's like understandable from like his perspective though, because like especially since he's never dated anyone before, you kind of like build up this notion about like expectations and like dating environments and like all that stuff. So he's kind of just like has like no experience of like knowing that like, oh, like girls are like all potential dates. I have to like be like on my best effort to like
right. Yeah, I think that's I 100% understand that. I was very much, I would say, when I was younger, I felt that way a lot too.
Same.
I don't know, especially in the way like you're, I don't know. I'm going to apply it to like a lot of people, but I think a lot of men, and like, at least in my experience in America, are like, and maybe in probably other cultures too, are like, you're kind of like, I don't know. The way the older men in my life talked about women was like they were a different species. And like understanding them is very different to understanding how men works. And like that's a very bad, toxic idea of understanding how the opposite sex works. And it's like I had that slowly eroded from me throughout college and just like being around. And really, I mean, even like when I was still living at home, but even like as I was going to community college and then when I went to Champlain, but just having friends of the opposite sex and normalizing that they're people and not like something to win is like a thing that a lot of men have to kind of go through. And like, I hope that like, I don't know, I think a lot of men like in our generation realize that now, and like realize that that's a bad thing. And I just hope that trend kind of continues, because it's like, I don't know. Yeah. It feels bad seeing like this boy struggle through something, and it's like, fuck, just forget about that. Forget about dating anybody. Just become friends with them. Just talk to them, and just get, yeah, just have fun. Just think about having fun and what you want to do with them. And then if you guys want to fuck, cool, then you're dating. You know what I mean?
Fucking, yeah.
Yeah, and you fuck. Great. It's like, yeah, it's clearly very like uncomfortable for him. Yeah, I guess I don't want to put like any like, it's not his fault, maybe, I would say. And especially, I think there's things happen. I remember one thing really well from this season, and it's an interaction with his father later in the season. And I was like, that's bingo. That's where it comes from. That's where this comes from. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that throughout the season he learns to like overcome that type of thing. Because I think it's like what you said, but it's also kind of like this feeling that like there's like some like set motion that everything has to follow, like a set like path of like like how do I get a girlfriend, like dating, and like all like the requirements have to be like checked off. You have to like do like all these different things. It's like a weird like dance, but the reaction always just like it should just happen naturally as like you go through life. So hopefully he overcomes that. Yeah,
for sure.
Otherwise, everyone else is like super chill, as you said. I think it's just because like the Hawaiian air, you know, man, waves and babes, so it's like really chill with each other. Yeah,
the critics cast were saying, oh man, there's going to be no drama because it's like the Hawaiian, the blue sky in Hawaii. How could there be any drama there? Everybody just seems to like, the attitude of all these house members are just relaxed, and they seem like they just want to have fun, you know? Whereas like last season, the hairdresser, I can't remember his name already. Uchi. So the hairdresser Uchi and Tap immediately were like so... Uchi clearly was uncomfortable interacting with women. And Tap was an asshole and also uncomfortable interacting with women in like a natural way. Yeah. And like it really... And they were also very concerned about being so goal-oriented that like it kind of immediately put a dark cloud above that cast where they couldn't just like interact and have fun. Like I imagine like Minori and Mizuki from that season, and even the baseball dude, like they probably just have a better time hanging out with these people. You know what I mean? There was immediately like an air over some of the people of that first group of people that was just so like intense. And that's not like here at all.
It was like intense, and kind of like also like drew a line between like the two genders. Like the men, it's like a kind of like divided like the boys and the girls from each other, and kind of like set up that weird like dating expectation thing. And it's just like they weren't really vibing with each other as well, like as the current house is, where everyone's like teasing each other and just like being friends and hanging out more. Yeah.
My the mustache thing I had going on last time that I talked about in the previous recording is like still happening, where I have like
the David Bowie mustache.
Yeah. I have this fun like little like a few mustache hairs are like didn't get trimmed the last time I shaved, and now it looks like I just have a black dot above my lip still, so that's fun.
Okay, just don't shave. Problem solved.
No, I definitely got to shave because I have a meeting on Tuesday. Anyways. We should probably just end this podcast now that we're not talking about Terrace House anymore. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I think if anything, it'll be fun to, I don't know. It'll be fun to talk about these people in this season, I think, in a more broad context than the previous one, because I think we'll get more interactions that feel less bad.
Yeah, more natural interactions.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited to see who the fuck Naomi is, because I have no memory of that girl whatsoever. In any aspect of my mind, I have no memory of her ever existing, so...
Yeah, I super do not recall who the fuck she is at all, so...
It's the Mandela effect. She was clearly someone else's in there, but now we're into the universe, so now we're watching her instead.
Yeah, totally. Okay, alright. I guess that's it. We'll talk about Terrace House more next week. Watch more of this show. If you want to listen to this podcast again, it comes out every Friday at 5 a.m. Wow, incredible.
Wow.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Thanks, Dylan Kyler, for making our intro outro music. He's at Teenage Goth Girl on social media. If you want to follow me and Matt on social media, I'm at Thick Stink. Matt is at Meestrubel. I'm probably not going to have any new... I don't know. I sometimes update people on new art. There won't be any new art for a while because I have like I'm taking on extra fun work at work. So I won't have any art because I'm doing stuff I can probably show off because it is like art related, but when it's done. So anyway, when that stuff is done, maybe I'll put it on my Instagram.
There you go.
Anyway, if you want to follow, please follow the social media for this podcast. It's at Meat Incident on Instagram and Twitter. Don't follow the Twitter. Just follow us on Instagram. It's at Meat Incident. We post things there.
Thanks.
Yes. Check it out. It's great. Okay.
Like, favorite, subscribe, comment.
Like, comment, and subscribe. There's nowhere to comment. Well, I guess rate us on iTunes. People say that helps with podcast. I don't fucking know. I don't care.
Sure.
I don't fucking
We
care.
clearly take this very seriously.
No, I don't give a shit. Okay. I guess that's it. Until next time, I'm Matt.
And I'm also Matt.
And this was the Meat Incident. We're never going to have a better outro.
Bye.
Bye.